Hope everyone's doing well. It's good to see everyone in the spring here. Beautiful day. Wearing green. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone out there. All right, so we'll go ahead and open it up to your questions.
Sean, have you ever been part of an overhaul like the one you're undergoing right now? Any position group?
Yeah, let me first start off by saying, obviously when we've added some players over the last few days here today, in particular with the signings, some players then obviously leave, and so wish we could keep all of them. We can't. That's the reality. And the players that are leaving, can't thank them enough for their contributions, their family sacrifices and time, and what they've meant to the Buffalo Bills over the last couple of years here. So, I take that part seriously, and it's important to us. So, with adding the new players, I would just say that it's always great to be able to watch players on other teams, seeing them have success, and then have the chance to bring them into what we do here and how we do things, and introduce them to Buffalo and the fans of the Buffalo Bills, because as I've said before, and I'm biased, but they're the best fans in the NFL, and I think a lot of players are seeing that. They've seen it for years, but they're now looking at Buffalo differently.
Take us through the process of agreeing to terms with Von Miller, and what does he bring to this defense at this stage?
Yeah, again, Brandon did a great job, Brandon and his staff, of working through that process with Von and Von's agent. Phenomenal job on both sides. So appreciative of that. With respect to Von's skill set, I believe it's a coach's job to take a player, identify the strengths, and put him in position to be successful, whether it's an elite player like Von or the last man on the roster. And so Von's an accomplished player. He's well decorated, highly decorated, and we look forward to getting him here and integrated into what we do defensively.
What can he do for the line as a whole? I know he's 111, things like that. But What can he, as a player, his skill set, and maybe even just his presence, the ripple down effect can that have?
Yeah, that's big. You're talking about a guy that's won 2 Super Bowls, and that's unique in and of itself around the league, and the way he's played at such a high level over the years, and how he does things. And we have a young defensive end group for the most part, right? And so those 3 players in particular, the AJs and Boogie and Greg, I'm sure will just soak up everything that he has to offer. And you learn a lot by watching, let's be honest. So, again, from what Von has accomplished as a player and the teams he's been on, he comes with a lot of experience that way.
Sean, how did you arrive at this decision that this was a move you felt like this team needed to make?
Well, we always learn from every season, and you look at the last few games of the season every year, and that to me is a barometer of where you're at and where you need to go. And so we just felt like we needed this piece, and one of the pieces that we needed, not the only piece, but this was an opportunity for us to get our hands on one in Von. And it's not every year you have a chance to get a player like this at that position in particular. So we were fortunate that the time was right for us and for him.
The timing of that, you look at what happened in Kansas City, how close you guys were. To bring a guy in at this point, do you view him, again, 111, but to what degree do you look at him as maybe the missing piece?
Well, it's a team game, and as good as Von is, it's hard to do it by yourself. So, and I think he would tell you that. So it's a team game, and you got to play well in all 3 phases, and you got to play together. Let's talk specifically up front, And so we feel like we've been able to add some things of late here, the last day, to help some of what's going on up front, and to generate some disruption up front, and it all works together, though, as you've heard me say before, in harmony up front. So.
John, we assume that Shaq is going to be back. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but with him and Jordan, those were 2 players that you did move on from a couple of years ago. Why the decision to re-up with those guys now?
Well, I think when you look back to things happen, for different reasons. If you go back to Jordan and him leaving, is that with Shaq also you're saying? Yeah, so guys make decisions, and there's other things that come into play, and I think it's really, really cool that guys want to come back here and play here, and that players are playing their best football while wearing the red, white, and blue of the Buffalo Bills, and I think they enjoy being here, they enjoy the culture, and they enjoy playing in front of these fans.
You mentioned, showing guys, new guys, what Buffalo is all about, the team's all about. Jordan Phillips is this unbelievable story where I'm sure he was in a Starla Tulane jersey in Kansas City to go in and watch the game, and he said he never missed a game the 2 years that he was gone. It meant that much to him. The guys, you guys meant that much to him.
Yeah.
What is that like from a selling standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty unique situation and story around the NFL. Most NFL players watch other games, but for a player to say that he's watched, and he said the same thing, he shared the same thing with me earlier this afternoon of, hey, I watched every game the last 2 years since I've been gone. And again, that speaks volumes of not only who we are, what we do, the resources Terry and Kim provide, but also the players on our team and what those friendships and relationships are to these players, in particular Jordan and Shaq since they've left. I mean, you're able to watch those players when they go and do their thing, and you want them to be happy, right? And so when Shaq left and Jordan left, it's important that they were happy and they felt like they made the right decision. So, but to have them back now under our roof is also just a good feeling.
Can you give us some insight into Tim Settle and Daquan Jones, what they are and what they bring?
Yeah, I think overall, just the word power comes to mind with Jordan, all three of them, Jordan, Tim, and then Jones with what he's done. And you turn the film on, that's what you see: power, disruption. And so I'm anxious to get out on the field once we can get out there and see him go. So.
When you look around the AFC and just the quarterback position in the AFC, why is it so important to make sure you have that strength in your defensive line when you have guys like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert?
Yeah, the list goes on, right? It's the AFC is there's a ton of great young quarterbacks, and it seems like there continues to people continue to add quarterbacks in the AFC. So. And you're seeing moves made to counter those moves, right? So it's maybe a little game of chess going on here, and so again, to have a player of Von's caliber, that should help us in that regard.
How about Roger? Coach, can you talk a little about Roger and what he brings to the offensive line and his experience in this league as well?
Yeah, so you go a few years ago when he was leaving the Rams to go to Tennessee. He was a guy that we had our eyes on and we were watching pretty closely there at that point. And then going against him the last couple of years down there in Tennessee and some of the battles we've had, and then obviously with Chrome and his experience with Roger and just knowing who he is as a person a little bit, as well as on the film as a player, and bringing a veteran presence to our offensive line, to an offensive line that we already feel pretty good about.
Sean, where does Star now fit in? Because you've added 3 DTs and you have Ed Oliver there as well. So where does Star fit in?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll just take it one step at a time here.
Mike Shula and Eric getting a promotion. Tell us a little bit about Mike. I know you've worked with him a little bit as well, and now Eric as well.
Say that again.
The coaching staff.
Yeah. What do you want to know? All
just because I think you spoke at the combine about the other guys.
Yeah.
But I think just recently we had Shula and Eric Washington that were announced by the
Yeah,
team.
gotcha. So Eric, with the addition of the title there, he's done a good job here for us, and he's obviously a guy I have a lot of confidence in. And with Shula, we've worked with Mike as well as Ken has worked with Mike, and they were a pair back in Carolina, quarterback coach and coordinator. So Mike is. Had a lot of success and been primarily a quarterback coach, albeit he was a head coach, but also in this league, quarterback coach, coordinator quite a bit. He has sat in Ken's seat, and I think that's important when you're talking about a staff and another person in that room for Ken that has called plays, and he knows what Ken's going through, and I think that's important.
You mentioned how, you mentioned the emotion of watching people leave. You know, obviously, you've been able to draft, develop, and re-sign a lot of players.
Yeah.
Levi and Harrison move on.
Yeah.
Could you just talk a little bit about what they meant to the room, you, and what it's going to be like seeing them play?
Yeah, I'll forever be their fans, or their fan. I mean, I'm a big Harrison Phillips fan, a big Levi Wallace fan, and those are tough. Especially when it's tough anytime, but in particular when you draft players and they move on. But in some way you're happy for them, because if we weren't doing things right here, they wouldn't have gone on to do what they've done and accomplish the goals that they have for themselves and their family as well. So although it's disappointing that we couldn't get things worked out, there is a little bit of pleasure in knowing, hey, they've improved their life and their families' lives as well, and I just want the best for them. And but yeah, it's a little bit sad to see guys move on that you have spent so much time with.
Sean, O.J. Howard, we haven't gotten your comment
Yeah.
on O.J. Howard.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a highly touted guy coming out a few years ago, and he was high on our radar then, and obviously again was when the chance came up here to circle back and try and get him again. So, big, tall body that can, get down the seam and box people out. So we'll just see. I know, to this point, maybe he hasn't been able to do what people thought that he would do coming out. So, again, I think just getting him under our roof and getting him to a spot where he's having fun playing football again and becoming the best version of himself.
So with this brand new revised defensive line that you just have assembled, how much does it draw comparison to the defensive line that you had in Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, that was a heck of a defensive line. I don't ever want to compare, individual players or groups. I just feel like, overall we've got, this is just the offseason at this point. So at the end of the day, we got to put in the work, and we got to earn it. And so I know Von would say there's a lot of work that gets put in between where we are today and that Super Bowl trophy that he held up a few months ago, and that's really what we're focused on after the next couple of days in the draft, is making sure we're putting in that work.